No, I understand.
That's not a legislative update.
I understand. That's why I'm asking us to redirect and have a legislative update. I appreciate that the impact was...
But I will express that in my efforts to try to protect this district, my constituents, the students, the parents, and the teachers, you have severely damaged those efforts. And frankly, Mr. Hicks, your signs are cute. But if you're going to damage our children like this, you are not for kids. And I believe you should resign your position.
Okay.
You know what? I want to take control of this.
As an, 1371 is, in my opinion, one of the worst. I've spent 9 terms, or 9 sessions, on the Ways and Means Committee in the House and then the Finance Committee in the Senate. So I've got to know these folks pretty well. I have a fair amount to say. Is there any possibility that I could have more to...
I know there's an opportunity for legislative update later in our agenda, but this is just a call to the audience.
Okay, call the audience then. Well, if that's the case, then let me just continue my remarks at a later point,
right.
Because I want to be able to provide you exactly the severity of the issue and how it's going to affect districts throughout the state, but especially TUSD. So I'll wait.
Let me go ahead, if we don't have any other speakers, go ahead and close the call to the audience, and then give the board an opportunity to respond to criticism made by those who've addressed the board, wish to ask staff to review a matter, or wish to ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. Mr. Hicks.
Okay, I'd like to respond to some criticisms. I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of our speakers who shared their views of my stance on the desegregation budget. Let me set the record straight. I do support the concept of schools receiving segregation funding. What I don't support is the mismanagement and misappropriation of the desegregation funding that TUSD's been receiving for over 30 years. Public schools like TUSD receive revenues from many sources. It is essential that public funds be directed effectively and used for purposes for which they are allocated. Public support for TUSD's funding has been weakened by decades of inappropriate spending and inadequate internal controls. TUSD has often been told through many different sources that we need an independent internal auditor. That last audit, which cost over $300,000, told us the same. And when it was brought to the board majority, voted it down. Wasting a good faith effort by several board members, let me remind everyone that both the board and superintendent vowed TUSD would implement the efficiency audit's recommendations. It is no wonder that so many...
Sorry, Ms.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, this is...
I am responding to criticisms.
No, but you're responding to a criticism, but you're making a statement also.
On the new policy issue, I'd ask that you refrain from that, the part of past agenda items.
Just respond to the criticism of your statement. That's what this is about.
Now administration is okay. So now administration is looking to dilute TUSD's audit committee by placing.
Again, that's not a response to this criticism. No.
Nobody mentioned that today.
Okay, here you go. The Arizona Daily Star on October 31, 2007 stated that TUSD owes taxpayers an explanation for collecting...
Respectfully, Mr. Hicks, can you get to responding about the
I am responding. I am giving people
you're giving a narrative,
my response
and that's,
of what...
No.
Excuse
it's
me.
response to this criticism. It is a point of order that I'm going to go ahead and I have to ask Mr. Hicks to stop speaking if he doesn't respond to the criticism.
I am responding. I am giving my explanation as to my stance on the desegregation funding that is brought in 1371.
We'd all appreciate you getting to that point.
Well, that's what I'm doing. This whole thing alludes to that.
No, it's not a 10-minute opportunity to speak. It's a criticism.
I'm not having chit-chat.
You're friend there.
There have been many different, if anybody wants to read this, I'll be more than happy to supply them with this. In a perfect world, or school systems, once the USP has been effectively implemented with full transparency and new or revised policy programs and practices to affect improvement opportunities for all students, these should all become part of TUSD's symptomatic. Taking away money after the district has gone through these measures successfully will be Really?
Can do it.
I'll continue. Taking away money away from the district has gone through these measures successfully will be undoing a lot of good work that's been done. However, we are far from a perfect situation with continued lack of transparency in how desegregation funding is allocated. The lack of current accountability is my number one concern. However, I am more than willing to compromise on this issue and rescind my statement of support for Senate Bill 1371 if two things occur. And again, I'm going to respond to this. The audit committee remains free of any TUSD employees or those contracted by TUSD. And two, that TUSD hire an independent auditor immediately who reports directly to the board.
With that, I want to invite Senator Farley to come forward to provide a perspective, and then as he concludes, we'll invite the other distinguished legislators here to provide their perspective as well.
And that's why it was incredibly distressing to undercut not only, I mean, your superintendent was here, he presented himself very, very well in front of the committee. In fact, he did a great job together with me to try to, our goal in that committee was to win over some of the Republicans. One of them, I believe, Kim Yee, was won over to our side, in large part because of the superintendent's testimony and the questioning that I continued to do. So I think our purpose in trying to undercut this bill is being served. However, our purpose was undercut severely when I noticed that one of your board members, Mr. Hicks, had signed in with testimony to the members of the committee asking for this bill to be passed, therefore asking us to cut $64 million from our own district, giving aid and comfort to those who would shut down public education in Arizona, and in my mind, compromise his oath of office to protect and defend the students, teachers, and parents of the Tucson Unified School District. And Mr. Hicks, I have to say, well, if you don't want to be accountable for what I'm saying here.
You can go ahead and continue.
Please.
Well, I'd like to address him directly.
Hold on 1 second. This made a statement. I want you to read that.
So, Mr. Hicks, you do not believe that your oath of office for the Tucson Unified School District Board involves protecting and defending the students, teachers, and parents of your district?
I'd like for you to read that statement.
Okay, if we can go ahead and have a legislative
Yes.
update.
I would mind explaining.
Currently, it's an attack.
No, I understand.
That's not a legislative update.
I understand. That's why I'm asking us to redirect and have a legislative update. I appreciate that the impact was.
But I will express that in my efforts to try to protect this district, my constituents, the students, the parents, and the teachers, you have severely damaged those efforts. And frankly, Mr. Hicks, your signs are cute. But if you're going to damage our children like this, you are not for kids. And I believe you should resign your position.
Okay.
You know what? I want to take control of this.
As an,
Okay, so I think that we really have to get back focus. No one asked you to leave, sir. We really have to get focused on the bill.
Because this is direct on the bill. Because
I understand.
as elected officials, you all know that our job is to do our duties as we were elected to protect our constituents from attacks from those who do not have their best interests in mind.
I appreciate that, Senator Farley. I really do, but I think that we have to, if it's going to become. This is more of a call to the audience kind of conversation where Mr. Hicks has an opportunity to rebut, at least address the criticism. So I am concerned that we are losing focus on the bill watch. And I appreciate that is an impact, and I appreciate you letting us know that, but I think that we have to have an opportunity.
Thank you.
Ms. Foster.
But Madam Chair, I would like to say to that, to your point, that the board should know that there is another board member who is going and signing in as a board member against the interests of the district. And that's an important piece of information that does undercut the bill.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Ms. Foster, then Mr. Hicks.
Madam Chair, to that point,
Well, excuse me.
Let him go. Let her go ahead and answer, and then we're gonna.
Be careful, because I have witnesses to the contrary. So be
Mr.
careful.
Hicks, go ahead and make the statement.
Go
then,
ahead.
So we don't have a. I feel like we're.
Okay, this is what was told to me the last time. When we are only considered board members when we are meeting on this dais, or in the back room, or when we're together as a board. Independently, we are only noticed as a member of the community. Is that not what you told me?
No, actually, correction.
Hold on.
We're always elected officials.
I'm asking the
Here,
lawyer.
I know, but I'm going to go ahead and chime in